Alright everyone, let's keep things going. I will still be trying to continue to do more reviews today. It's just that, well, after this, maybe I should probably take a lunch break, but I'll do more reviews after I've done eating and stuff like that. So, let's continue on with the next adventure for the Doctor and his companions in the Keys of Marinus. Here we go. Okay. On a small island with a glass beach, surrounded by an acid sea, on the planet Marinus, stands a tower with many small entrances. In this tower is Arbitan, keeper of the conscience of Marinus, a vast computer developed 2 millennia earlier as a vast justice machine which kept law and order across the entire planet. For 700 years, the conscience was absolute, radiating its power across the planet Marinus and eliminating all thought of evil. But then Yartek, leader of the alien Vord, worked out how to resist its impulses. When the Doctor and his companions, Barbara Wright, Ian Chesterton, and Susan arrive on the island, they are brought into the tower to an audience with Arbitan, who explains that the society of Marinus is in danger. Several submersibles containing Vord humanoid creatures protected by amphibian-like black rubber wetsuits have washed up on the beach. Inspired by Yartek, the Vord are seeking to enter the tower and take control of the conscious. Arbitan explains that the conscious has now been upgraded sufficiently to control the Vord again, but needs to be activated. Years earlier, Arbitan had prevented the conscious from falling into Vord control by separating the 5 keys needed to regulate it. The 5 keys are in different locations. One is in Arbitan's possession, but therefore are scattered over Marinus. The keys can only be found by following directions preset into travel dials, watch-like devices with the power to transport the wearer across the planet to the correct locations. Arbitan asks that the Doctor and his friends help him fend off the Vord by gathering the keys together. Others have tried to accomplish this task, even Arbitan's own daughter, but none have returned to the tower. The Doctor refuses Arbitan's request, but is unable to access the TARDIS due to force field Arbitan places around the ship, and so the Doctor and his companions are coerced into aiding Arbitan. As the 4 teleport away from the tower using the travel dials, Arbitan is attacked and stabbed to death by a Vord that has secretly gained access to the tower. Dun-dun-dun. The first location visited by the travelers is the city Amorphoton. The seemingly advanced and pacifist inhabitants impress the travelers with the luxuries, advances, and aesthetics of the city, but all is not as it seems. Dun dun dun. Barbara is the first to realize the truth when hypnotic disc, intended to make her mind receptive to the hypnotic pulses, slips off her forehead, causing her to realize that Morphoton is actually a place of dirt and squalor rather than beauty and luxury. Unknown to the Doctor and the crew, Morphoton, I guess that's pronounced, is governed by 4 brain creatures with hideous eyes on stalks who, having outgrown their bodies, live in large buildings and communicate through their life support machines. The brains of Morphoton, I guess it's pronounced, actually, use hypnosis to control the human population, and the entire city is subjugated to their will. Once the brains realize Barbara has seen the truth and is thus impervious to their hypnotic control, they order that she be killed. Barbara escapes and hides in the city. They are making contact with slave girl Sabetha, who has been blamed for Barbara's awakening and sentenced to death. Barbara deduces that Sabetha is Arbitan's missing daughter, and she sees Sabetha wearing one of the keys around her neck. Barbara helps break Sabetha's conditioning, and together they escape and destroy the jars and equipment protecting the brains. With their life support ruined, the brains die, and all the human subjects of the city are freed. A slave called Altos remembers he too was sent to Morphoton by Arbitan, and he and Sabetha decide to join the Doctor and his friends on their quest. The 6 now split up, with the Doctor going ahead to find the final key in the city of Millennius, while the others attempt to find the second key in the next destination. The next location for the 5 searchers is a dangerous screaming jungle, which has a particularly debilitating effect on the telepathic Susan. And then jungle is an ancient temple overgrown with plants. Much of the floor is hostile, and the travelers are relieved to find the next key so easily, propped up on top of a statue in the temple. However, this key is a decoy and, when touched, activates ancient machinery that causes the statue to move. Indeed, the whole location, jungle and temple, is a place of danger and traps. When Barbara's caught in the statue mechanism and disappears in the temple, Sabetha argues she may have possibly used her travel dial to move on to the next location. Sabetha compares the key Barbara found with the original and realizes the found key is actually a fake. While Ian remains at the temple to search for the real key, Altos, Sabetha, and Susan go to the next location to search for Barbara. Ian activates the statue mechanism and is also taken into the temple, where he finds Barbara again. Hiding in the temple is an aged and dying scientist, Darius, whom Ian saves from attack by a creeping vine. Very weak, the old man explains the traps of the temple are to fool the Vord, and that he too is a friend of Arbitan. Before dying, Darius tells Ian and Barbara the key is hidden in DE302. The plants, mutated by the growth accelerator built by Darius, becomes more and more aggressive. The two friends only just manage to retrieve the key from experiment jar before the vegetation overruns the temple. Ian and Barbara now teleport to an icy wasteland where they meet the duplicitous trapper Vassar, who steals their keys and sends Ian back to the wastelands, where he hopes Ian will be eaten by a pack of wolves. In the waste, Ian finds Altos, bound and abandoned, and works out Vassar is to blame. Ian and Altos return to the trapper's hut and confront him, forcing the wicked man to reveal the stolen keys in his possession and to take them to the ice caves where he had earlier abandoned Sabetha and Susan. The two girls, meanwhile, search the icy caves themselves and uncovered mechanized ice soldiers. The travelers are soon reunited and find the next key frozen in a block of ice. Directly removing it revives the ice soldiers, who begin a vicious rampage. They flee back to the trapper's cottage and retrieve their stolen dials, getting ready to escape. Vassar takes Susan hostage and demands that they stay. An ice soldier stabs him down from behind and they escape. When the travelers reach the next location, Ian finds himself accused of the murder of Eprin, a friend of Altos, who had discovered the key shortly before his death. The key has now disappeared and Ian is accused of theft and Eprin's murder. The punishment will be death if he is found guilty before the court of Millennius. The other travelers are reunited in advance of Ian's trial, at which the doctor takes on the role of defense counsel. He succeeds in postponing the trial for 2 days when he gathers evidence and uses his time to work out what will happen to Eprin. He works out that Leafguard, Aiden, is implicated in the murder, but Aiden is murdered during the course of the trial before he can reveal the truth of the plot. Things take a turn for the worse when Susan is kidnapped and used as hostage to try and persuade the doctor not to investigate the crimes any further. The kidnapper is Kala, Aiden's widow, who was in league with Ison, the court prosecutor, who has succeeded in persuading the 3 judges of Millennium to find Ian guilty of Eprin's murder. Luckily, the others find Susan bound and gagged in Kala's house before Kala can kill her like she did her own husband, and the plot is uncovered. Taryn, the chief investigator of the city, is now also persuaded of Kala's guilt, but they still must uncover her accomplice and to prove that Ian did not kill Eprin. The doctor helps unmask Ison and uncover the last key, which had been hidden in the murder weapon, and Ian is freed. Travelers now return to Arbitan's island using their travel dials. Altos and Sabetha have traveled ahead without the last key in their possession. They do not know the old keeper is dead, and that Yartek is now in charge, clothed in Abatan's robes to maintain the ruse. Yartek has seized the first 4 keys and holds Altos and Sabetha prisoner while he waits the 5th and final one. When the doctor and his 3 friends arrive, they soon realize that the Vord have taken control of the tower and the conscious. The doctor frees Sabetha and Altos and then unmasks the Vord. Ian too has played his part, giving Yartek the false key from the screaming jungle. When Yartek places the false key in the conscious, the machine explodes and he is killed, along with the occupying Vord. The doctor and his friends flee the tower with Altos and Sabetha before the growing blaze overtakes the ancient structure. Whew, man, that was a lot. This story was written to replace a different script, The Hidden Planet, which was deemed problematic. Because the replacement script had to be written quickly, it was decided to base it around a series of largely self-contained episodes, each with a different setting and cast, to make it easier to write in a short time. Good planning on my part, if you ask me. Model filming for the Keys of Marinus commenced in March 1964 at Ealing Studios, with the rest of the studio recording done in March and April at Lime Grove Studios. The tank top Susan wears was knitted by Caroline Ford's mother. Ford had expressed his pleasure with the portrayal of Susan the serial, calling her pathetic. Yeah, saying what time she got kidnapped in this story, I kind of agree with her. In retrospective reviews, the Keys of Marinus received generally unfavorable reception. The Red Times reviewer Patrick Milken wrote that standards slip appreciably after the 4 preceding serials in terms of ambitious but slapdash script quality and below-par sets and supporting characters. DVD Talks J. Doyle Wallace gave the serial a rating of 2.5 stars out of 5, claiming that the weakness was attributed to the Doctor's absence, deeming the 2 episodes Hartnell's absent for as the weakest of the serial. The lack of a main antagonist that would thread the episodes together, the lacking and disparate world of Marinus, and the ramshackle execution of the concept. Arnold T. Blumberg of IGN gave The Keys of Marinus a score of 4 out of 10, describing it as a cliched premise, handled poorly and with no spark at all from Hartnell's late-hour rally. He cited the poor production quality as the hodgepodge leaps to various locations of Marinus, which were boring if not inept. However, the story and its structure was met with some positive reception. Graham Kibble-White in Doctor Who magazine derided Susan's character for devolving into a bit of a shrill, but was generally positive towards the episodic story structure and the timing of Hartnell's holiday. Despite this, he wrote that the scripts of the final 2 episodes never truly engages with the tenets of courtroom drama. A Den of Geek felt that the different locations structure works incredibly well by keeping the momentum and making each episode fresh. Tat Wood and Lawrence Miles argued that the story displays a melange of influence from adventure stories such as Flash Gordon, Dan Dare, The Lord of the Rings, and The Odyssey in particular, but point out that its structure is no more episodic than the previous story, Marco Polo. They focus on the Cold War implications of the story and have comments on an age when people think of social engineering in grandiose terms, while suggesting that the whole is rather less than the sum of its parts. Yeah, I kind of agree with them on that part. Overall, I give the story 2 sonic screwdrivers out of 5. Well, join me next time as we delve into one of my favorite episodes of the Hartnell era, which is the Aztecs. So until then, this is Hoovy Queen saying, "Oh my Gideont! When I say run, run, I burst polarity of the neutron flow. Would you like a jelly baby? Fantastic! Allons-y! Geronimo!" Bow ties are cool, fezzes are cool, and Stetsons are cool.